Please, let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Firestone, I will confirm a quorum.
Yes, sir. Town of Ashland, Mr. Hodges.
Here.
Dr. McGraw. Charles City County, Mr. Adkins. Mr. Coda. Chesterfield County, Mr. Carroll.
I'm here.
Mr. Winslow. Goochland County, Mr. Spoonhour.
Here-ish.
Thank you. Ms. Lascalette. Hanover County, Mr. Peterson.
Here.
Mr. Davis. Henrico County, Mr. Thornton.
Here.
Ms. O'Bannon. Newgate County, Ms. Page.
Here.
Mr. Lockwood. Powhatan County, Mr. Byerly. Mr. McClung. City of Richmond, Chair Stoney.
Here.
Mr. Jones. Virginia House of Delegates, Delegate Robinson.
Here.
Senate of Virginia, Senator Hashmi.
Here.
Commonwealth Transportation Board, we haven't actually, is that person actually?
He has begun, he's absent today.
Capital Region Airport Commission, Mr. Miller. GRTC, Ms. Adams.
Here.
Ms. Torres. RMTA, Ms. Dean.
Here.
DRPT, Mr. Brule. Mr. Trogdon.
Here.
VDOT, Mr. Britch. Mr. Totten. Mr. Riblet.
Here.
Virginia Port Authority, Mr. Edwards. Ms. Vick. And Ms. Nelson.
Here.
Thank you. That concludes the roll call for attendance, and we do have a quorum.
Thank you so much, Ms. Firestone. Everyone, I want to say thank you to all of you for adjusting to the 8 o'clock time this morning. I have another engagement later this morning, and so I appreciate everyone shifting with me. Folks were all on time, Mr. Parsons. They were all left in the lobby at 7:57, 7:59. And so I love the eagerness that everyone wanted to be here on time at 8 o'clock for the Central Virginia Transportation Authority. All right, we'll move on with our agenda. We're going to go to Section A, Administration. We'll start with item 1, the confirmation of member participation from a remote location. I did receive a request for the Port of Virginia's representative to join us remotely today. I also received a request from Mr. Spoonhour as well to join us remotely. I've accepted both requests. I believe we don't need a motion to confirm this decision to approve the Port's request or Mr. Spoonhour's request. Mr. Parsons, or since Mr. Gregory's not here, could you please read the language for the motion, please?
Yes, sir. The action requested is the motion to confirm that the chair's decision to approve the member request from Mr. Spoonhour and Ms. Nelson to participate from a remote location was in conformance with the CVTA policy for remote participation of members, and the voice of the remotely participating members can be heard by all persons at the primary or central meeting location. And this can be a voice vote. So moved.
It's been moved, it's been seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We'll move on to item 2, the consideration of amendments to the action meeting agenda. Are there any considerations for amendments to the action meeting agenda? Hearing none, let's move on to item 3 on our agenda. Item 3 is the approval of the July 14th, 2023 CVTA full body action meeting minutes and the June 1, 2023 joint annual meeting minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the July 14th meeting minutes? Is there a motion?
So moved.
It's been motioned. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed?
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
please record me as abstaining. I was not at the meeting.
one abstention.
I have an extension.
Another abstention. 3 abstentions. Mr. Parsons, do we need to also have a motion for the June 1, 2023 Joint annual meeting minutes.
Mr. Chair, I don't believe we do.
Okay.
My understanding is that those were already.
Approved.
Yes, I think that would be it. That would be an error. We don't need a motion.
Okay. Let's move on to item 4, then, the open comment period. Ms. Firestone or Mr. Parsons, do we have any public comments before the body this morning?
We do not.
Any by email or online?
We have not received any requests.
All right, seeing none, we'll move on then to item 5 in the CVTA Chairman's Report. I want to first state that I am very excited, super excited for the year ahead of us as a region, what we can achieve as a body in the work of transportation. I'm excited about what transportation and transit initiatives that we have before the body that will come to life through our hard work and through us funding these projects as well. And I like to take my mind some 10, 20 years forward and think about what this region will look like when all of these projects are funded and all these projects have been implemented, and the good it will do for the roughly 3 million people who live in the Metro Richmond area. And it will be all because of the work that's done by the CVTA. And we'll obviously do this by laying out a regional strategy of us working together in collaborative fashion. And I think that will be the key to the long-term success of the CVTA. And so my hope is that we make this one of the most pivotal years in the administration of the CVTA. And I think it'll be a positive for not just for one locality, but for all localities here in the Metro Richmond region. So with that, I'll now hand it off to, we'll go to action items on section B. We'll go to Bond Council RFP. Mr. Gregory, are you ready?
I am, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Gregory, I will have to say, the optics are never good when there's a tough traffic time getting into the city, to a CVTA meeting particularly.
You know somebody can help with that.
All right, handing it to you, Mr. Gregory.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chairman, members of the Authority Board, before you for not the first time is the Bond Council RFP. As you will recall, a couple of years ago, you all issued the RFP, but decided at that time not to follow through with that. This time we have revised that RFP at your direction, and it has been run through the Finance Committee, and they are making a recommendation that you authorize issuance of the Bond Council RFP today, which will put you in position to make a decision, if you so choose, later this fall, so that Bond Council, if and when ready and directed, can prepare documents necessary to prepare for a bond rating transaction, probably either later this year or early next. And so it is before you for your consideration. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
All right, we'll open it up for discussion, and for any questions for Mr. Gregory, Mr. Parsons, any questions? Seeing none, this is a recommendation for approval by the Finance Committee for the full authority to authorize the issuance for the Bond Council RFP. All that are in favor, say aye.
Aye. We need a motion.
The report from
Finance
the
Committee.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I
Finance
see.
Committee.
Thank
Report, sir, this one.
So, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, moving on to item 2.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. Round 3 of the regional funding, the third-party cost estimate verification. I'm gonna hand it over to you, Mr. Parsons.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is an item asking for your support to move this round 3 of project eligibility, ranking, prioritizing, and ultimate recommendation back to the authority. We are in the middle of that cycle now. There are a few details that I wanted to lay out, particularly for this item. We started this last year for round 2 of regional project selection. We use a third-party independent cost estimate verifier, typically a local consulting firm, to make sure that the costs that have been provided in regional project applications is consistent and follows the procedures that the CVTA has set up in its framework. We are doing that again this time. We have received, the RFP has been publicized. We have received qualified bids, and it is based on a per project cost for that independent review. The timelines have made us aware that today is the deadline for all of the regional projects to be submitted by our member localities. So at this time, I am not prepared to provide a recommendation on a single firm because the ultimate cost will be decided by how many applications we receive. If that makes sense to everyone. So by the end of the day, I should have that cost in mind, and it will give us a better idea of which proposer is sitting in a better position. And my request today, the action requested, is to authorize me to work directly with those proposers to secure a contract verifying the cost estimates for round 3 project applications following the close of the application window. I am aware we do have written out what our budget item is, what our approved amount is for this task. And obviously, if the proposals go beyond that, I would have to come back to the finance committee for approval to go in a different direction. But I'm confident that based on the proposals we've received, we'll be able to move forward under budget and keeping on schedule.
Okay, so is there a motion to authorize the executive director to work directly with the proposers to secure contract verifying cost estimates for round 3 regional project applications following the close of the application window? Is there a motion?
So moved.
So motion and seconded.
Second.
I would like,
Any discussion?
I would like a friendly amendment that we add that as long as it's under allocation budget.
Bruce, to amend the motion?
That's friendly amendment on my.
Friendly amendment?
Agreed.
Oh, about Mr. Thornton, I think, made the motion, so
Oh.
he would have to agree to.
Mr. Gregory, there's been a friendly amendment, it's been agreed to,
Yes, sir.
to add that particular language to the authorization.
Mr. Chair. One comment,
Carroll.
and that is, this is why we hired an executive director,
Yes, exactly. We don't have to do every single thing.
so that they
Yeah.
can actually take care of these tasks for us.
I call that empowerment. Put the word into executive. So the motion has been seconded, for discussion. Ms. Farson, call the question.
Sure. Mr. Hodges?
Aye.
Mr. Carroll?
Aye.
Mr. Spoonhour?
Aye.
Mr. Peterson?
Aye.
Mr. Thornton? Ms. Page?
Aye.
Chair Stoney?
Aye.
Delegate Robinson?
Aye.
And Senator Hashmi?
Aye.
The motion carries.
The motion carries. We'll move on to item 3, the CVTA spa request. Mr. Parsons.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. This is an exciting agenda item. As you know, the authority has taken action previously to approve standard project agreements between the CVTA and 3 of our member localities. This is the first time that there have been requests to come forward between CVTA and VDOT. I'm sorry, Design Build 1 for the fall line, yes. So second time for specific projects. And we have these projects that are listed in the agenda, project 16 through 45, as you can see on page 2 of the agenda. We are kind of in a we're still in our learning curve, and I'm going to ask for Mr. Gregory to help me with the motion itself. But essentially what we are doing is all of these projects have been approved in round 2 of the regional funding selection process, and we are moving forward with these standard project agreements. If you recall, the CVTA VDOT standard project agreement, when it was originally approved to form, was one that was, I think, vastly more detailed than the CVTA locality agreements that were developed. And what we are trying to do now is streamline that agreement to a format that is much more in line with the CVTA locality agreements that we are using at this time. What we would like for that process is in the works. Mr. Gregory is working with VDOT Legal Counsel and Locality Legal Counsel to make sure that agreement encompasses all of the details that are necessary so that we can feel confident in the form that we ultimately approve. But the request today, and I'm going to ask Mr. Gregory to help me with the actual action requested, is to approve the projects that are listed and detailed in the agenda packet, knowing that form of the agreement will be streamlined between now and when the CTB meets to have ultimate approval of these projects. And I believe that is late October, is that right, Mr.?
It will be presented the first time in October and then for approval in December at the CTB.
Okay, yes, thank you. So the request, so that changes what's listed in the action requested. We're not actually approving the standard project agreement itself. We're asking for approval of the projects and knowing that the project agreement will be improved between now and when the CTB meets. We do have a finance committee meeting that will be between now and the CTB first time they meet. So we can certainly aim to have that revised agreement in place for financial review.
Question, Mr. Parson. Have we, I want to make sure I phrase this right. If we did not have the conduit of the CVTA, we would not have been able, would we have been able to do this in the past? Isn't this an improvement, since this is the second go round of this, for this stage of improvements here?
Yes, sir, absolutely. It's an improvement in every sense of the word.
Yeah.
I would call it an improvement because we have recognized that the agreements that we have initially thought were good could be improved upon, and we're taking the active steps within the organization to
I
make
would hope
that
the records will show that as we kind of look at the history of the CVTA. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions for Mr. Parsons? Mr. Parsons, I need you and Mr. Gregory to sort of articulate the motion you're looking for the body to express for the record.
In real time.
It's all right.
So I would suggest a modification to the motion presented in the agenda to read as follows. A motion to adopt a resolution to approve the projects for funding and administration between Central Virginia Transportation Authority and Virginia Department of Transportation for the following projects as presented, and to authorize the chairman to execute the modified standard project agreement as agreed with VDOT, and to authorize CVTA staff to take all actions necessary and prudent to fulfill its terms, subject to approval by legal counsel.
That is the motion that we would like to express from the body.
Question on the motion.
Sure. Mr. Carroll.
Part of what was said is to approve the funding. We've already approved this funding as part of the regional transportation project agreement. Is that correct? Well, these projects are part of the transportation package that was passed in April of last year. So the funding's already been approved.
That's right. It says for funding and administration. So you are absolutely correct. I'm not sure why that's in there.
So we don't necessarily need to approve the funding. It's a matter of just approving the projects to move forward.
So for execution and administration, if you like, or you can just strike the funding.
Excuse administration sounds good.
All right, very formal.
So, Mr. Gregg, we're gonna ask you to read that back one more time.
Sorry.
All right, I'll try.
So Ms. Firestone and others may be watching who can we can capture that.
Okay, I will request a motion to adopt a resolution to approve the projects for execution and administration between Central Virginia Transportation Authority and Virginia Department of Transportation for the following projects as presented, and to authorize the chairman to execute the modified standard project agreement as agreed with VDOT, and to authorize CVTA staff to take all actions necessary and prudent to fulfill its terms, subject to approval by legal counsel.
So moved.
So is there a motion? It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Spoonhour?
just so I can wrap my head around this, would this be akin, Mr. Gregory, to in our localities when we assign monies to projects and then we move to appropriate?
The funding, as Mr. Carroll mentioned, has already been allocated toward these projects. So that's the appropriation that's necessary for that purpose. And this is just to authorize the execution of the contracts to move those projects into execution so that they can actually get done with VDOT.
Okay, thank you.
And so just so everybody's aware, as Mr. Parsons mentioned, the streamlined or modified SPA that we're talking about, you've seen that before. So it's going in essential form. So we're gonna use the streamlined format that we've used with the localities. So your local legal counsel and the TAC have seen that and are comfortable with it. We're I'd say 90, 98, 99% there. And so that's what we'll use going forward. It's a much less cumbersome agreement.
Okay. So it's been motioned, it's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Thank you. We'll move on to item 4, I believe. The Fall Line Design Build 2 funding update.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Mr. Parsons.
This is in your agenda packets. Do we have slides for this? No, okay, that's fine. There's a larger page, a 2-page inclusion in the packet on page 48 that provides an update on kind of where things stand with the second component of the Fall Line Design Build series. Design Build 2, just to refresh your memory, is the very southern section of the Fall Line trail system from the Appomattox River north around Virginia. There, thank you very much. Around Virginia State and into ultimately into southern Chesterfield. We have been made aware over the past few months that as the due diligence has happened, VDOT has identified multiple cultural resource impacts in that section, especially right near the river, that have provided some unknown complexity to developing the plans for that design build project. So VDOT has worked up 2 alternative alignments. And this is just shown on the screen as the blue alignment and the green alignment. Costs, as we can expect, have gone up for those alignments. The blue alignment, I think the common themes, the blue alignment is as an off-road alignment, shifted further east from the proposed location. The green alignment is an on-road alignment using Chesterfield Avenue and East River Road. So both of those alignments have been brought for consideration and have been discussed by the Fall Line Work Group, as well as the TAC to some extent. Both the second page, we can go there. Chesterfield, Colonial Heights, Petersburg, and the Friends of the Lower Appomattox have reviewed the alternatives and support the off-road blue alignment. They agree that it is a priority to make the connection between Petersburg and Chester. So Chesterfield County has requested the transfer of $25 million in CVTA regional funds from the Design Build 3 project to Design Build 2 so that this can continue moving forward. Design Build 3 would be the next segment north from this one. So that was mainly impact Chesterfield County. So the VDOT procurement process requires demonstration of full funding of these design build components so that they can move forward. And the transfer of this 25 million would allow design build 2 to be put into place. VDOT will need to adjust the termini of design build 2 to match the available funding. So they're still working on an understanding of how far that funding will take us north along that blue alignment. So the CVTA Technical Advisory Committee did make a recommendation on motion by Ms. Smith and seconded by Mr. Ure to unanimously recommend full authority approval of transferring 25 million from essentially the third design build project, design build 3 to design build 2, so that it can continue moving forward and obviously committing these important funds to the fall line system.
All right. Mr. Parsons, would this be a voice vote or would this be a roll call?
I would recommend a roll call.
I was thinking a roll call. Anything that has to do with any money, I want to
Yes,
make
sir.
sure we're on the record.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve the transfer.
There's a
Second.
motion, it's been seconded. Any discussion? Ms. Firestone?
Yes, sir. Mr. Hodges?
Aye.
Mr. Carroll?
Aye.
Mr. Spoonhour?
Aye.
Mr. Peterson?
Aye.
Mr. Thornton?
Aye.
Ms. Page?
Aye.
Chair Stoney?
Aye.
Delegate Robinson?
Aye.
And Senator Hashmi? Thank you. The motion carries.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Parsons, I'd like to say one thing.
Yes.
It was a great vocabulary word in there, termini. I saw you, I saw you, Mr. Thornton. You smiled on that, I mean, multiple terminus, right?
That's right.
Don't see that very often.
He was looking for the print.
Mr. Parsons.
Yes, just one last item. So the action that you just approved will allow VDOT to develop the standard project agreement, just like we did under item 3 for this design build 2 section now. So TAC should expect to see that in the next couple meetings.
All right. Move to item 5 then.
You need a motion, Mr. Parsons, for that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Move on to item 5 then, that's the FY 2023 annual
Yes.
certification and FY 2024 local allocation plan. Mr. Parsons.
Yes, I wanted to say thank you to all of our member governments for moving this certification through. This is an annual event that happens in late summer, early fall. And as you can see, starting on page 50, we have certification of FY23 CVTA local expenditures by all 9 member jurisdictions. So what we have today is an action to approve both the annual certifications as well as the FY24 local allocation plan. The local allocation plan is is on page 59 of the agenda packet. This is essentially staff's guiding star for tracking what we expect to see from member governments in the current fiscal year and where funds should be expected to be committed for local projects. So essentially this item is approving the expenditures from our past year and the expected expenditures from the coming year. This is a planning document for FY24, so it can change at any time, and we fully recognize that.
All right. Is there a motion to approve the FY23 annual certifications, FY24 local allocation plan? Is there a motion?
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
And second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. We'll move on to item 6, the the CVTA Regional Project Cycle Round 3 schedule. Mr. Parsons?
Yes, sir, this is on page 62 of the agenda. It is a small poster with a roadmap on it. This has been vetted by both TAC and Finance Committee, and it is essentially the cycle that we expect to follow between now and late January to get round 3 through all of the necessary steps and evaluations and brought back to you for ultimate approval. It does show in the 4 different components of the cycle what we expect to see on agendas or action items for TAC, finance, and the full authority, as well as staff activities for each of these components. So just something to provide more of a guide in how the process for round 3 will evolve and what we should expect to see each month as we come together for either committee or authority meetings.
Sort of a roadmap.
Yes, sir. Very good.
All right, so is there a motion to approve the cycle? To approve the CVTA regional project cycle.
So moved.
It's been a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Sure,
Mr. Hodges.
I like visuals, and this is one. I want to thank the staff.
Thank you. Be a good graphic for Instagram or something like that. Let the public know. All right, any more comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, we'll move on to section C of our agenda this morning, committee reports. We'll begin first with the CVTA Finance Committee update. Chairwoman Page.
Good morning, all. The Finance Committee met on September the 7th. At that meeting, Executive Director, Mr. Parsons, gave an overview of our monthly investment report and tax collection and allocation summary, and he offered to answer any questions that may have arrived, which there were none. The report also detailed revenues dispersed through July 31st of 2023. Then moving on, we had the election of the CVTA Finance Committee officers, and Mayor Stoney made a motion that was seconded by Mr. Thornton, that the members of the CVTA Finance Committee were unanimously elected, yours truly as the chairperson for FY24, and Supervisor Kevin Carroll as our FY24 vice chair. And that was taken by a roll call vote. And all of the other articles that were taken at our finance committee was also listed in our minutes. And so that is the conclusion of our finance report for September 7th.
Thank you, Chairwoman Page. Mr. Parsons, I hear you have a report for us for the financial activities and investments.
Yes, sir, I do. Page 63 is the most current CVTA tax collection and allocation report for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2023. Lifetime to date, we are still tracking very well in terms of distributions to our 3 main funds, the regional fund, GRTC, as well as each of our member jurisdictions. I have been working closely with Chesterfield County to make sure that we are providing our end of year information as needed, and I will have an additional item on that in a few minutes in the executive director's report. But we continue to track and are looking forward to, I guess, in about 2 months, getting a new round of projections in terms of revenues from VDOT, and we'll see how we continue to move forward in a positive direction. I think that based on our past expenditures, we can expect to see some fluctuation in the gas tax revenue, and I expect the sales tax to continue to be moving positively in that trend. So we'll see if that actually is what we see in December, but we're looking forward to having that back soon. Following that, on page 64 and 67 are the monthly investment reports for June and July. And I will just highlight at the end of July, on page 66, we can see now over over $540,000 in interest earnings for FY '24. So that's pretty good, great information.
Are there any questions for Mr. Parsons? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 2 within committee reports, and that is the CVTA Technical Advisory Committee. Ms. Moore Clark.
Good morning, everyone. Diana Moore Clark, the TAC Chair. I will be providing a brief update of the TAC meeting as well as the Fall Line Trail Working Group. For the Fall Line Trail Working Group, that group reviewed the Fall Line Trail wayfinding plan. And what we were able to accomplish was reaching consensus on an option. We were given 3 options proposed by the consultant, and we were able to come up with an option of what those wayfinding structure would look like. And so now we're currently working through the colors. And as you move from the different localities, what some of the unique things that the wayfinding will depict for that specific locality. So we are moving forward with that. We have also reviewed a preliminary placement plan for the entire corridor. And I think what we came up with that is we're gonna take it as the locality comes with its implementation. So, because it was a really huge undertaking to try to go in areas, say for example, like we have some termini changes retaining the termini with the design build 2, but in some way when we were doing the project, we didn't know if it would move. So really being able to lay out the placement exactly is a little premature, but we are looking at it to have those guidelines allow the localities to pick up and potentially consult for more detail with the CVTA to actually get that done. And then that group also heard from VDOT on the design build 2, which I think helped facilitate a successful TAC understanding of the process. TAC held its meeting, 2 meetings since our last time here, which is August the 14th and September the 20th of 2023. So currently the TAC has spent the last month preparing our applications for CVTA Regional Round 3, which are due today by 11:59 p.m. So if everyone could please chime in with your representatives to ensure that you have your applications in because it closes today. TAC has also developed, along with the executive director, a spin down plan for the Finance Committee's review. This plan programs CVTA regional allocations over the next 5 to 6 years. Secondly, TAC is undertaking an exercise of collecting a wish list or universe of projects from each locality. This will allow the authority to begin to see the impact of the region's transportation wishes on the authority's pay-go strategy versus a bonding strategy or even a hybrid strategy. So we're really excited for this candidate project database that is being led by the executive director. And again, we think that the spending allocation plan will help Ms. Longacre in really seeing where she can do her investments, because you'll see where the localities win, and they'll need to spend that money. So that was a task given to TAC, and we're coming into completing that. So we're very excited to bring that to the Finance Committee at its next meeting. And again, the wish list we think is very important, because seeing, and the mayor talked about, really visioning what are the projects that we're building, what they look like over time, and then really getting that wish list of what the localities' needs are will really help the authority in decision making. That concludes my report.
Ms. Moore Clark, as always, very thorough. Thank you very much. We'll now move on to other business, Section D of our agenda. The first item in Section D is CVTA Executive Director's Report. Mr. Parsons.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before I get into the 2 business items under A and B, I wanted to bring some information to the authority. As of yesterday, we have an audit report. I did not feel comfortable asking for approvals and signatures on that at this time. but I was made aware that the RFP for performing that audit had a deadline of September 30th. With, I don't think we need action, but with the authority's approval, I'd like to extend that deadline to October 27th so that we can allow for the report to go through finance and come back to the full authority for action. At that point, I look back to last year, action was taken on the audit in October, so it wouldn't be a stretch to extend it for a month. But I'm happy to work with the audit team at PB Mears to make sure that we're following all the proper procedures and things. So, thank you.
Do we need a motion for that, sir?
Mr. Parsons said we didn't need an action, but if you all be comfortable with the motion.
Sure, if you like.
Is there a motion? A motion, is there a second?
Second.
You seconded, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you very much. So just 2 business items here. You may have already provided the information, but Ms. Firestone is working on an updated contact database for everybody so that we can stay in touch. So if you're able and are unsure if you have provided your updated information to her, please try and see her after the meeting this morning to get that information provided. And then just quickly, Sid, can you put something on the screen? I think we went through this with the Plan RBA Commission.
Before you getting ready to go to YouTube thing now?
Yes, sir.
Before you do that, I would just, I was just looking at the form, and you said here, addresses and cell phone numbers would not be shared, and that's good. I think it would be a good idea to allow the members of the board to allow sharing with other members. Internally. But, and maybe they need to say so on the form that that's okay, but I think it'd be very helpful for people to be able to communicate amongst themselves without having to run everything, call Chet every time I get in touch with some board member.
Yes, absolutely, and I think that was the intent.
And is the plan that by the first of the year, we'll have a SharePoint site for members to have access to shared contacts and committee members as well. We'll restrict the addresses and cell phone numbers so that members of the public do not have access.
You answer my question?
So just a quick review as
Mr. Spoonhour is drinking a cup of Joe.
Hope that's what it is.
We have been diligently recording and saving for posterity all of our meetings at all levels, committee as well as authority, since this thing was started. And Sid has done a lot of great work with our YouTube channel to organize and sort it and provide some more graphical illustrations of the differences between all the meetings that are on here. So just wanted to share some of the work that he has been doing to make sure that all of this information is available for review after the fact. For those who aren't able to attend. We do have all of our meetings recorded, and I believe they are in playlists now, so you can sort it and look by date, or you may be able to search by topic, but that's just a resource that's there for everyone's use.
Looks great.
Does that include our first organizational meeting where we went through the entire convention center?
Yes, sir. It sure does.
That one has a notation that says prepare popcorn first.
Anything else, Mr. Parsons?
No, sir, thank you.
Any comments from the members?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
One thing real quick, Zach Trotten with the RPT. This may not even be germane to this group directly, but we've been kind of keeping an eye on the federal government shutdown, and it looks like for transportation, perhaps it may not be much of an issue because that comes from the Highway Trust Fund. Apparently, that may not be at risk, but just for everybody's kind of awareness, we kind of think we'll be okay in the transportation sector. Just to mention that.
Any other comments from members? Seeing none, since there's no further business.